What's up, guys? It's once again MP4Podcast.com. Now, the developer Avalanche has come out and said that the Wii U development kits that they have in their studio are basically collecting dust. They're not even programming for the Nintendo Wii U. And there's two reasons of why they're saying they're not developing games for the Wii U. One, they're not happy with the install base of the Wii U, and also that Nintendo is hard to contact for tech support. Now, other developers have also said things like this for the PS2. The PS2 was hard to develop for. The PS2 was a hybrid Linux, some type of operating system. I'm not a programmer, so I don't really know about programming, but that's what I've heard people talk about. Now, if the Wii U is a little bit alien to some developers, Nintendo should probably do extra things to help these programmers. And I don't know, if they have anything like this, but this is my idea. Why not have a YouTube channel where people can watch tutorials, and have a video series for people who need to watch this stuff. Maybe, even if the YouTube channel is private, or the links are unlisted, because, maybe they don't want this going around just so it's just public to everybody and people commenting and blah blah blah. And the reason why you would want to keep it private is so you don't get the regular kiddies commenting and so on. It's just programmers talking to programmers in the comment sections of YouTube. Or maybe they could just make their own website or so on, with private videos, and Nintendo could host them. But the thing about it, if they made the videos on Nintendo's own website, like on a private website, or they've made a YouTube channel or whatever, they can make an apps for the Nintendo Wii U. Okay, you put a code in or something like that where you can download a special app on the Wii U, so you can watch these tutorials on your television set. All right. So let's say you work for Avalanche, or you work for EA or Capcom or any of these developers, right? You go home, you do your job, you come home, you want to sit back, lay on the couch. Maybe you're going to watch some tutorials for a half an hour on how to program for the Wii U and how the CPU works and how these other things. Because I'll tell you one thing, the best developers for the Wii U are people at Nintendo. And they should be sharing as much knowledge as they do on the Nintendo Wii U, so games become better on the Wii U. Now, there's a couple things Nintendo has to do to help the Wii U. One, they have to get the price down really quick. Now, I don't have a Wii U, and I've thought about buying one, and maybe I will buy one. I haven't quite made a decision on what console I want to get. These consoles are going to be extremely expensive this generation. All right, we're having two new consoles coming out this year, the Xbox 720, the PS4. And people are saying they're going to be around $500 each. That's $1,000 for two consoles. And that doesn't even count games yet, all right? And, the Wii U, I don't want the white Wii U, okay? I don't want it. I don't want to buy it. So I'm looking at the one that's $350 or $359. I want that extra 32 megs built into the system. And I know I can get a USB drive for the white one. I don't want a USB drive hang. I want it all in the system. So I think maybe a lot of people look at the Wii U as as the black version, because that's the superior version. So Nintendo should probably get the black one down to $300, and maybe the white one, if they want to keep it, drop it down to $70. Drop the price down to $70 more. All right, they have to get down the black version down to $300, and the white one has to at least go down to $230. All right, there has to be that really good gap in price. For an extra $50, I'd rather just buy the black one and have the built-in 32 megs. If they can get the systems moving, that's great. But let's say Nintendo doesn't sell a lot of Wiis. It's just not moving at all, all right? What Nintendo has to do at this point is cut their losses with the Wii U within 4 years, all right? So we're almost at 1 year with the Nintendo Wii U, and you let it run for 3 more years. I know Nintendo fans are not going to like this, all right? but they need to bring out a new console. It worked for Microsoft with the Xbox 360. Microsoft ran with the Xbox One for 4 years, and they said, okay, we're going to go with the next generation console. We all know Nintendo has a boatload of money. They're not hurting for money. I mean, people even say that this company could lose money for another 100 years or something like that. It's not a good idea to lose money at all. Even if you can lose money, it's not a good idea. What Nintendo should do at that point is kill the Wii U off within 4 years and bring out a new next generation video game console. A true, horsepower. And here's the reason why. All right, Microsoft and Sony, they're not going to release a super high-end next-generation video game console. They're going with tablet CPUs, AMD things, and stuff like that. By the time 3 years comes around, and Nintendo can bring out a really high, powerful, home console, they can blow the waters out of the PS4 and the Xbox 720 by that time and have a true next-generation video game console. The only thing that Nintendo has to do, if they make they're going to probably have to make this decision by next year. All right, they're going to know by next year about the Wii U's future, and they have to say, okay, team, stop making a super high-end next generation video game titles. They have to do a Mario and a Zelda. If they can come out with at a launch with a true next generation game using like the new Unreal Engine with Zelda, and I don't even care if Nintendo makes their own engine, but if they have to, go over to Epic, get that engine. It's already developed. It's going to be a great engine. Make a Zelda game with that engine, and do a Mario game as well. If they can come out with a next generation video game console with their two strongest IPs, even if they can do a Metroid game, it's done deal. They can be at the top. Everybody will love Nintendo. Now, I just want to say this about Nintendo. I'm not a Nintendo hater. I grew up with Nintendo. I had the 8-bit Nintendo. Now, the 8-bit Nintendo, for me, it was a love-hate relationship with the 8-bit Nintendo. Sometimes the cartridges didn't work. Sometimes they did. Sometimes you look at the graphics and, to be quite honest, sometimes they looked like crap. Because a lot of the times you'd be at the arcade and you're like, the arcade looks so much better. And you wanted that arcade experience, but when you got the home version of the cartridge for the NES, it didn't look as good. Some games looked really good on the NES, but not arcade games. And, that's why I jumped over to the Sega Genesis. You push down the cartridge, the game worked all the time. So, Sega, I became a Sega fan for 2 years, but I went back to Nintendo because I love the Super Nintendo. Better graphics, better sound, and so on. All right? They can do that again. But here's the reason why Nintendo has this bad marketing. I don't want to say it's bad marketing. It's just a different way of marketing. But during the Super Nintendo, they were thinking about adding a CD-ROM drive to the Super Nintendo to compete with the Sega CD. They looked at the Sega CD numbers and they said, the Sega CD is not selling that well. We're not going to bother with it. All right? So then they were thinking about upgrading to a 32-bit system, of a Nintendo or whatever. It was going to become like, the PlayStation 1 or something like that. They were going to use a Sony drive, and they were thinking about using Philips, and that's why you see these Mario and Zelda games that were on the Philips CDI. That never happened. So Nintendo says, we're going with cartridge, all right? And then all the developers were like, cartridge is too much money to produce. You have to buy the chips and everything. CDs are like cheap. They're cheap. They're like, maybe back then they were 50 cents for a blank. I don't know what the price or $1. They would buy these in bulk. But they were cheap, okay? And all the developers went to PlayStation, and then someone went to Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn didn't sell that well, but it sold enough to do well enough. But Nintendo was stuck with this cartridge, and a couple developers stuck with, the Nintendo 64, but that was it. I mean, it was Nintendo, Midway, THQ, EA. I mean, nothing. There was. I mean, you didn't really get a lot of great titles. I mean, there were great titles on the Nintendo 64, but you didn't have all these developers. They all jumped ship over to PlayStation. So what Nintendo did, they really, really, really focused on their IPs. Their Marios, their Zeldas, all these other games, the Pokemon. Pokemon was huge. They knew they had a hit with Pokemon. They had the cartoon, and they had Game Boy. They knew kids loved walking around the house, going in the car, bringing their Pokemon games. Game Boy made more money than Nintendo 64. All right? And now Nintendo is dealing with tablet devices, portable tablet devices. And the 3DS is doing better now because the price cut. I mean, they're focusing more on these really good IPs and so on. So it's coming around again. But it's not going to be like the DS, okay? So Nintendo has to change, really has to change their marketing system. Get the price down in the Wii U, right? Try to get it moving. If it doesn't really stop moving the way they want, they have to cut their losses within 4 years and do what Microsoft did and bring out a new next generation console. And if they do bring out a new next generation console within 4 years, I mean, the Xbox 720 and the PS4 are going to be old consoles. And those guys are not going to want to upgrade their console so quickly. And Nintendo has the money to do it. Just remember that. Nintendo could bring out probably new consoles every year for the next 10 years. I mean, that's how much money they have. All right. So that's my opinion. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Take it easy, guys. Love you guys. Bye.